Well, hello everybody, and welcome to LA Dodger Report. In today's breaking Dodgers off the field news, the Dodgers made a very interesting announcement today. They are creating what they are calling the Legends of Dodgers Baseball. And they are going to place Steve Garvey, Don Newcombe, and Fernando Valenzuela in the inaugural class. Well, Twitter and social media is blowing up with sports media and general tweeters mentioning what a great idea and how the Dodgers have solved their dilemma about what to do for retired numbers. I'm here with a different take, folks. I say placing Fernando in this Legends of Dodger Baseball, while the Legends idea is kind of cool, but placing Fernando in this and saying that this solves the dilemma of whether or not to retire his number, this is an absolute crock. This is a baseball injustice, and Fernando deserves to have number 34 retired. Why? I've written articles for LA Dodger Report, and I made a video previously here on YouTube, which I'll put a link for down below, mentioning the reasons why I believe Fernando should have his number retired. And I'm not the only person who believes so. Mitch Poole, the equipment manager for the Dodgers, has ever since Fernando left the Dodgers, has never issued number 34 to another player. That number has been informally retired, and some people might be happy if it remains informally retired, and they'll be, satisfied with that, but not me. And I think Fernando's number deserves to be fully and completely retired. Now, the Dodgers make the claim, and their media allies back up the claim that they only retire Hall of Fame players. But they're always quick to add the caveat, except for Jim Gilliam. Well, listen, when you make an exception, you don't get to run around making the claim that you only do this, blah, 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 except for when we blah, blah, blah. No. You have already established the precedent of not only retiring Hall of Fame players. The Dodgers allowed Jim Gilliam to have his number retired and placed up on the Ring of Honor around Dodger Stadium so that generations will know him and honor him. The Dodgers try to use that excuse for Fernando, but they've already made the exception. So that fake rule isn't a rule, and it doesn't apply, and it never will. Now, Fernando deserves to have his number retired, not just because of the numbers. One of the reasons why the Dodgers are creating the Legends of Dodger Baseball is because they want to do something for great Dodgers in Dodger history who, have marginal Hall of Fame numbers, just not enough to get in, but they were great Dodgers. Well, that applies for Fernando, numbers good enough, but not enough to make it into the Hall of Fame officially. Now, I believe that he should make it into the Hall of Fame, and partly because of what I'm arguing for the Dodgers, the reasons why I'm arguing for the Dodgers to retire number 34. It's not just the stats. Fernando became a symbol Fernando became bigger than the game. Fernando became a mania. Fernando meant something very huge to the Dodgers and to baseball as a whole. Now, much like Jackie Robinson, Fernando brought a whole ethnic group into the Dodgers fold. Much like youngsters who watched the Dodgers and said growing up, look at Jackie, I want to be a Dodger. If Jackie Robinson can be a Dodger, I can be one too. Now, a lot of kids grew up dreaming of being Dodgers. But let me tell you, they didn't quite think they wanted to be Dodgers just like Jerry Royce. They saw Fernando and said, there's a guy who looks like me. There's a guy who speaks Spanish like my parents and my grandparents. There's a guy who came from poverty just like me. And if he made it, I can make it. And I want to be a professional baseball player. Fernando brought the community back to Dodger Stadium that stayed away and swore to stay away forever after the tragedy of Chavez Ravine and the neighborhood being yanked, eminent domain being claimed, and having an entire community of people thrown out, and then having Dodger Stadium built on the graves of their homes. Fernando brought the Mexican American community back to Dodger Stadium. He was bigger than just the numbers. And his bringing a group of people to baseball went beyond Chavez Ravine. It was nationwide. It was called a mania for a reason. Fernando drove turnstiles up all across the country. Every time he pitched, the numbers went up 10 to 12,000 in attendance just to see Fernando. Jaime Jarrín, who's going to have his name placed up on the Ring of Honor right next to Vin Scully's and right next to those retired numbers. Jaime Jarrín mentioned he never saw anything like that in baseball before. He broke those barriers down and he turned those turnstiles. And if the Guggenheim Group loves money, take a look at that, guys. That's what he did. Fernando helped launch the Dodgers into those annual 3 million attendance marks that they started making. Fernando was at the birth of that. The Ring of Honor sounds like a very nice idea. And it sounds like someplace very appropriate for Eric Karros. But let me tell you, Eric Karros is no Fernando Valenzuela. Do the right thing, Dodgers. You made an exception to your fake rule and broke the rule and made the rule null and void. You made an exception for Jim Gilliam. Was Jim Gilliam a mania? Did 10,000 extra people come out to see Jim Gilliam every time he started just because he was in the game? Put Fernando in the Legends of Dodger Baseball. Great. Give him a plaque by all means. But do the right thing. Retire number 34. Do right by Fernando. LA Dodger Report. Peace.